If I wanted to get into agriculture today without having a piece of land of my own, which can be pricey, especially for people in West Africa, land is a really big issue now. If I wanted to do that, what I would do is Hey guys, so have you ever wondered how to get into agriculture without having any money, without having a land? Not any money, you need some bit of money, but without having any land. Today I want to tell you how to get into agriculture, which is the next petrol of of the world. Agriculture is big right now. I want to tell you how to get into agriculture without having a land of your own. So how do you do that? It's not rocket science, guys. Sometimes I walk around, I feel like my head is going to burst open. As you already know by now, I'm a business coach. I also hold an MBA in global business, so I'm tiny bit knowledgeable about some of these things. So if I wanted to get into agriculture today without having a piece of land of my own, which can be pricey, especially for people in West Africa, land is a really big issue now. If I wanted to do that, what I would do is I would just go around my neighborhood, right? I'll take a pen and a paper. I always talk about pen and paper because when you write something down, you bring it to life. I'll take a pen and a paper and go around my neighborhood, or even much further, as far as I can go, and look at all the land. So I'll become a land surveyor. But not because I get paid for that, but because I'm trying to start a Greek business without owning a land. I'll take this pen and paper, go to all these pieces of land that are undeveloped around me as far as I can go, and I'll write down the telephone numbers of all these pieces of land that are not yet developed. Sometimes when you walk past, from today, just start taking note. There's so much untapped land and untapped potential in Africa, at least West Africa where I come from. I don't know about the Africa where you are right now, because sometimes when you say Africa, people think Africa is a country, but Africa is a whole continent, and there's so many countries in Africa. But in West Africa where I come from, there's a lot of land which has not yet been developed. And just as an aside, I was reading a comment on a platform called Quora, and someone asked the question, why are Africans starving? Why are they so hungry? And I felt really bad about that question because I don't see why we should be hungry. And I thought it was more like I don't know, the way the question came about, it was like this person was genuinely feeling bad for Africans, but also quite ignorant about the potential of Africa. And the response to that question came from a guy from the US government who is in charge of international development for African countries, who had been to Nigeria on a business trip, and he was traveling back to the Netherlands for another conference there on food security for Africa. And the guy said during the conference, when he was given the podium to speak, he said, I don't know why Africans don't have abundance and why they're not feeding the rest of the world. Because when I left my hotel, driving all the way to the airport, I saw mass land which was green and underdeveloped. So I suppose what I'm saying is there is plenty for all of us. You take your pen, take your piece of paper, go around your neighborhood as far as you can get, write down the names of, or the numbers, the telephone numbers, because when people have lands, they will sometimes just try to do some type of protection around the land, and then they would sometimes put their contact details there. Or if you don't find any contact details, you can ask around there, do you know who owns this land? Do you know who owns this land? The caretaker of that land is usually not too far off from where the land is located. You can then make contact with this person if there's no telephone number, which is a telephone number that would lead you to the owner of the land. And this is what you should do. Reach out to the owner of the land, speak to the caretaker, tell them that you would like to exploit the land, not as your own, but you're happy to sign any paperwork with them that gives you permission to plant on the land. And if you're able to plant on that land, whatever harvest you make from the land, you will give them, or you will pay them in kind. You can pay them in kind, or you can pay them in cash once you sell the produce from the land. And the beautiful thing about agriculture is that when you plant, it is most likely that you will harvest if you do the right thing. And if you don't know how to plant, now is the time to learn. If you still do not want to learn, now is the time to get people who can do it for you. There are people who can literally farm a piece of land for you. So you step in as the entrepreneur, the person with the idea. You know, Sylvia is giving it to you right now, and you start looking for women around you or young men who are capable of farming a land. You can get them to clear out the piece of land which you have been given permission to farm on, and you can get them to start cultivating, and you pay them. When harvest time comes, you get people as well to go with you to harvest your produce, and you can export your produce to landlocked countries like the Gabon. You can export your produce to Congo. You can export your produce to Equatorial Guinea. You can even take it much further. If you're very adventurous like me, you would want to take it to the level where you actually package it. For example, if you decide that you want to plant peppers, someone told me that it takes 9 weeks for peppers from the time when you put the seedling into the soil right up to the time when you actually harvest it. It takes 9 weeks for you to harvest full-blown peppers. Now what you can do is if you harvest peppers, the first thing you can do is to actually sell the fresh peppers to your local markets around your country, or you can export it to landlocked countries, which I just mentioned. The second thing you can do with your peppers is that you can dry them. You can do them naturally. You know, I remember, back when I was in Cameroon, when my mom is drying pepper, she would just take a sheet of zinc and put it on the floor under very hot sun. Our temperatures are very hot, and she would put the peppers on the zinc, and the peppers would dry out. Because the sun reflects on the zinc, and the zinc is metal, it becomes very hot, and she would dry the peppers on the zinc so that it can drain out the water and the peppers can last much longer. You can do that in a more traditional way. Another way which you can do, which I just thought about just talking to you right now, is to go to bakeries. I don't know if they're gonna accept, but I remember drying snails when I was traveling to the UK via a bakery. What they do is that, because the bakery they've got this, obviously their ovens are very hot, you can literally have a conversation with the manager and you dry your peppers in the ovens of the bakery, so that they get dry overnight and the bakery can use their bakery when they resume work. Another way, another thing you can do with your peppers if you don't want to dry them, is to boil them in a lot of water and oil and make liquid peppers. And once you do make the liquid peppers, so you put the pepper in water in a big pot or whatever size you want to do. Obviously, if you want to do it for commercial purposes, you're going to have to do big quantities. You put the peppers in the water, you add vegetable oil, and you boil, and all of the pepper, the stink from the pepper is actually going to be extracted by the oil, and you can bottle them, which is the next step. Packaging is called branding. I'm writing a book about business ideas for women. I don't know, guys, if you want a copy, you can always buy one. If your wife has got a copy, you can read it. But that book should be published next year, Jan. And that business idea book for women In that book, I literally explain to you how to brand yourself or your business from start to finish. I don't know if you know this by now, but I'm a business coach and I'm happy to share these ideas with you for free. But if you want to work with me, click in the description box. My contact details are on there. Get in touch with me. I'll be more than happy to take your ideation into operation. So let's move on. Now you do your branding, and once you do your branding and you've got your peppers, the beautiful thing about peppers is that once you've transformed it into liquid pepper, liquid chili, it can stay for as long as, if it's done properly and there's no water in it, because the water is going to make it smell. So you don't need any additives. You just make it really dry and it's just the oil. You know, you can have oil for years. For those who don't eat vegetable oil, this is another idea that just came to mind. You can make their chilies, their chili or hot sauce with olive oil. Okay, you can do it with olive oil. That some people who are diabetic, they actually eat only olive oil. You can brand your peppers or your chili sauce with olive oil. Actually, that's a really good idea. I just thought about it. You can do that as well, and then you can export it. You can export your chili pepper either as ground, okay, powder. Package it powder. The same pepper, you can package it as wet and ship to landlocked countries where they get on time and they're not rotten on transit. The same pepper, you can bottle it in liquid form and sell it around you, supermarkets around you, shops around you. You can send them to landlocked countries, and you can send them to me in the UK. How can you do that? How can you send it to the UK? You can do it through agreement that was signed in 2002 or 2012. I need to check the exact date, but the agreement is called AGOA. Now is the time to exploit it. I remember going by an African shop here in London, and they sell chili pepper for like what, £10? That's a lot of money in Africa, and it doesn't take a lot to make that chili pepper. You just need to brand it. And I remember that when I was in Cairo, Egypt, my tata gave me a chili pepper that was branded from Kenya. Was it Kenya or Uganda? And I was like, it was so well done. They call it akabanga. They call it akabanga. So you can call it anything. It's up to you to brand it. If you'd like to help, for me to help you to brand your business, to brand your business idea, please reach out to me in the comment section of this video or in the description box. My email address is there. All my details are on there. So I don't want to make this video too long. If I were to go into agriculture without a piece of land, without any money, and to start building my wealth to the point where I start taking the profits from a free piece of land that I got to buying my own pieces of land, hectares upon hectares, this is what I would do. Whatever you decide to plant, it must not be chili. It can be plantain. You can transform plantain into plantain fufu. You can transform plantain into plantain chips. You can transform your plantain skin, you know, into, there's a sauce in Cameroon called mpu sauce. You can package it into mpu sauce, you know. So there are many things that we can do from agricultural produce. So many things, but the idea about this video is for you to get into agriculture, not because you have a piece of land or hectares of land, but because you have this brilliant idea which I just gave you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a comment in the comment section. I want to hear all about your thoughts. What are some of the business ideas that you have, and what agricultural product are you most passionate about? All right guys, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.